Hey everyone, Jay Whitner here with Space Headline. We do a quick recap of what's going on in space each week, and today we're going to be talking about the third week of June 2018. Our first item pertains to a new startup called SpinLaunch. The idea here is the rocket depicted here would be mounted on sort of a super large centrifuge and spun faster until ultimately released with some built-up speed behind it, such that it can carry a payload up into orbit for a lower cost than traditional launches. The big news item that happened is they got some really nice financial support came in. $40 million from Airbus Ventures and Google Ventures, two biggest players, I believe. Congratulations to SpinLaunch on securing some very needed capital. Astronauts on the International Space Station were busy preparing for some future guests. They did a spacewalk to install some special HD cameras on the exterior of the ISS, such that they can be ready for the commercial crew program to really get going. We are expecting uncrewed launches this year, test launches, and the first crew launches next year. So these cameras will help the space station crew carefully monitor the approach of these capsules, make sure they are safely approaching the ISS, doing the appropriate steps for safe docking. Ariane 6 continues to be developed. The story was the hardware development of a thrust chamber and testing of this thrust chamber. They're doing a hot fire test in Germany, and they are planning 20 tests over the balance of the year for this device. And it's just one more step toward Ariane 6 preparing to fly. President Trump released information that he is going to direct the military to create a new branch called the Space Force. Now, I'm not a constitutional attorney, so I don't know the answer to this. There seem to be some people who think that as the commander-in-chief, President Trump can direct it to be done. Other people seem to think that it will require congressional action to make a new Space Force. I don't know which is the correct answer. But it's been quite a while since this has happened. I think it was back in the 40s that the Army Air Corps became the Air Force, so we haven't done this recently. But it is another step that indicates interest in what's going on in space on behalf of the Trump administration. The European Space Agency has formally committed to Ariane 6. They're saying they're going to completely develop this rocket and that they are going to move away from Ariane 5, and that is their intent. There's an open question in the minds of many people in the space industry: can they compete price-wise with SpaceX? And it seems unlikely that they really can, but there's a certain amount of captive business that will launch based on European needs that will fly on Ariane 6, regardless of the cost structure of Ariane 6. There's a new idea for launching tiny satellites. This is the company is called Avum, and this aircraft is called the Raven. The idea here is that this would be an unmanned aircraft that can carry a rocket up into the air and achieve speeds of almost Mach 3 before releasing the rocket. The aircraft is reusable, the rocket is expendable, the rocket is a two-stage vehicle. The interesting aspect here, aside from the aircraft not having any crew aboard, is the rapid turnaround time. They are planning to be able to launch this thing every 3 hours once they get fully up to speed on it. So really very interesting idea. Hopefully this can come to fruition. I believe they are planning to do their first test flights next year. You see depicted here a Russian RD-180 engine. There's been controversy in recent years about the use of these engines. Some people think, we're taking jobs away from American industry by using Russian engines. Other people think it's a national security problem to rely on any foreign power for making critical components of our rockets. Other people point to recent stresses and strains of the Russians. All that being said, these engines are coming. 2 batches of them, the RD-180 and RD-181 are coming. With the first batch coming this year and possibly the second batch as well. We've seen recently lots of small satellites being launched from the International Space Station by NanoRacks. And this news item is that there was a new record in terms of the size of the satellite launch concept. The satellite was roughly 200 pounds. And this is an experiment about the orbital debris in low Earth orbit problem. So the satellite deploys from ISS, then the satellite sort of launches on its own 2 mini satellites that then they try to capture using a net and a harpoon to see if they can locate, track, and capture little satellites in orbit to simulate, catching a piece of space debris. So hopefully this will go well because this is a big problem. There's been comment made about the public doesn't understand the scale of rockets, and that it's hard for the public to understand because when you see a rocket launch on TV, there's nothing around really to the scale that people are familiar with. So this gentleman made a video using video effects to basically put the rockets in everyday situations so people understand how big these rockets are. You might not have ever heard about this, but Elon Musk heard about it and did a tweet or something, so it made the media. I watched this video, it's like 3 minutes long. It's really very interesting. And I would suggest you take the time to spend 3 minutes, look at it, and maybe show it to the younger people in your life so they'll understand the size of these rockets they're launching. And I heard about this on inverse.com, so that would be where you can go if you want to find this video, probably on YouTube as well. Space Florida has done some really interesting work recently. They provided millions of dollars for 2 things. One was to help a lunar lander firm get going and to make sure that they are doing stuff in Florida. They also are providing funds to enhance the facilities that used to be the shuttle landing facilities at Kennedy Space Center. So we need different stuff there to support launch operations, horizontal launch from that facility. So I think it was $1.5 million for the lunar land firm and $1 million for horizontal launch refurbishment operations. The lunar lander firm was undisclosed, so I don't know who that is. I have suspicion. But the big Space Florida news was that they're going to put out $18 million to attract further expansion, further operations by Blue Origin and SpaceX. $18 million is pretty heavy money, and the Department of Transportation is assisting with some of this funding. It's going to mean a whole lot of good jobs in the Brevard County, Titusville, Merritt Island area. So congratulations and thanks to Space Florida for making this happen, making sure that we're having plenty of Blue Origin SpaceX activity here in the Sunshine State. That's it for Space Headlines covering the 3rd week of June 2018. Hope you enjoyed our show, and we'll see you next time.